Hey, it's Shop Talk, baby. This is the show where it's okay to be you. We're talking from Yale to jail and from the church house to the pimp house. Nothing's excluded on Shop Talk. So if you don't have a phone, I suggest you borrow one. Call in and voice your opinion live every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Yeah, that's right, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Don't forget to Shop Talk with your girl, because right here, we keeps it real. That'll always take you back. That'll always take you back. Man, they did that with that Craig Mack. He was doing it.
Yeah, he was.
Doing it.
That always brought people to the dance floor.
What?
What? That's one of the songs. Like, I can name several that the party could be somewhat dead, but as soon as they put some of them songs on, it's like nobody was in their seat.
Go ahead, name one.
The floor was crowded.
Name one.
Okay, this one is
Flavor in Your Ear.
Flavor in Your Ear. After Mother ends.
Oh yeah, that'll get the party started.
To the floor.
What else you got? What you got, Amber?
Biggie. Anything with Biggie.
So I like house music, so I like Percolator.
Oh, the Percolator. Yeah.
It started still to this day.
Yeah, the Percolator.
Yes.
To this day.
Man, listen, the Percolator, it was doing it back in 92.
Right.
That was it.
Luke.
Okay. Derek said the Daz Disco Jazz. I don't know what that's all. That's all like, you know that Disco Duck.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
But I'll tell you which one always got me rocking. Every time. Flashlight. Soon as you hit it.
Epic.
Soon as you hit it. And that Drew Hill, soon as you hear the beginning of the music, tell me what you want? Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yo, wow. Oh, Chuck Brown, you right. Anything Chuck Brown. Chuck Brown to get you.
Yeah.
So that you got that go-go. No.
Right, you can't forget the go-go now.
Yeah, you got that go-go.
To this doggone floor.
That's crazy. Y'all gonna have me up in here like bone. I should have threw some Chuck Brown on. Because you know that's how we started. I used to throw that Chuck Brown on all the time. All right, lovely people, let's get this show started. We got a lot to talk about. It's a lot of controversy. And I just want to get it out. And I missed you guys last week, but we was on a slight vacation. Had a little fun. Didn't want to tell nobody because we want you to still listen to a rerun, one you didn't hear or listen to. All right, let's get this out the way. If you lovely people would love to donate to Shop Talk with Mel, you can do so at the Cash App, which is Shop Talk with Mel, and also PayPal at Shop Talk with Mel. All right, that information is there for the listening audience. We'll address the elephant in the room. On my arm, I have, which I know you're like, what is that? That is my insulin pump. I've switched it up top, so when you see that white patch there, don't be too concerned. It's just the insulin pump. All right, the Omnipod. Shout out to the Omnipod people. It worked. All right, let's get it going. Listening audience, let me give you the number right now. The phone number here is 619-902-2287. 619-902-2287. Feel free to call in and voice your opinion live, or you can actually text and I'll read your comment live on air, okay? All right, let's go. Kim Burrell. Hurry up. I missed last week. I was like, I got to talk about this. Kim Burrell and her comments. Now, I guess she was hired. I'm just going to catch you people up if you don't know anything about it. Kim Burrell is a gospel singer. And she is known for her voice. She has a great voice. She does. I like the way that she sings. She's the run queen. Meaning the people are like, yeah. I ain't no singer. I'm a talker. But she does all the runs. And she does them very well. And I guess she was hired to sing a song, but what she did, she came behind the pulpit and she pretty much downgraded everybody, just insulted them. And I was thinking, because usually like growing up in church, when you are a church kid, you kind of know certain things. You have sense of humor. Your pastor might, say a little joke or something like that. Or if they're talking, the part that she said, I should pull it up so you guys can hear it. I think that's what I'll do. Some pastors, they'll say little things and then you're like, okay, I'm waiting for you to bring it, and they bring it full circle. They bring it on back, back around. Well, she lost me when she actually called the people ugly. She was like, y'all ugly. Y'all know y'all ugly. Some of y'all, she said some of y'all ugly up under them hats. And so the thing, of course, y'all know how the internet do. They just zoomed in. Whoever was there that recorded it, they zoomed in on somebody that had a hat. I was like, I cannot. Why y'all do that?
Cameraman.
Right. Hey, everybody cameraman now. You know that, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So when they did it, that's what they zoomed in on that. And she was saying that if you, what did she say? If you are she's like, do you live in a house or do you live in a trailer? Sis, you gotta, these trailer homes is kicking it now. They looking cold. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you ain't been in one. Did you lose all your PPP money, PPP loan money? And then also she was talking about, are your bills in your kid's name?
Your kid's name, yeah.
Now,
that's Franklin, though. I agree with that.
But listen, I hired you to sing a song.
Did nobody ask her for all that other content?
Right. Yeah.
What? And I felt some type of way because the church is the hospital, it's the hospital for
soul. Exactly.
Right, for the soul. So it's like you're already beat down. The world done beat you down. Why do I got to come to church and get beat down too?
Right.
So, and I was listening to her and I'm like, I didn't know people still did that. So I was a little taken aback. I was like, people, do they still put bills in their kid's name? And I'm
we do,
but now why is it like I'll never forget? Like when I moved into the one house, it was a bill left over from my house that I just left. So it was a bill left over from the last person. So you buy a house from somebody, and that address has a bill left over. they wanted me to pay that bill. I said, absolutely not. So I had to jump through some hoops.
Right.
And even like with apartments, like with cable and stuff like that, they'll be like, who's the person that's in there? Well, this is me. I don't have anything to do with whoever was here before. You want me to pay that bill, clear up that bill before I can get service? Well, I won't be getting service. You know what I'm saying? And it was really weird. But that's why I was wondering, like, do people still do that? Because they make it so hard for you to get things in your name when you move or relocate. So that's why I was asking, like, is that still a thing? So you say it's still a thing.
Oh, I think as far as parents putting their kids' name on bills is still a thing. I had a similar experience when I purchased my home, but it was more so because it was multiple addresses. And, I just had to, the only hoop I had to jump through was to show proof that, I had to provide them the deed. Like, no, I own this property now, and you got to handle it with the previous person.
Right.
So there's a little bit of hoop, but, because what happens is sometimes people will not pay the bill, have an outstanding bill, and then in order to get service reactivated or continue service, try to put it in someone else's name, like their kid or their boyfriend or whatever, and still have service at that same address, which is like unfair to the company or whatever.
It's unfair to the next person. That's not okay because that's not my bill. That's why I was wondering, like, man. Now, one of the viewers actually said this is exactly what turns people who may be looking for a church away. And
I'll say that it seems like it was a message directed toward like seasoned, established churchgoers, more like a kind of like a preaching to the choir type message. But if you're like exploring or considering or new, then yeah, it could definitely be a turnoff.
Oh, I would think so.
Ugly. That's, I don't know. Some people are real arrogant and they need to be humbled. But saying you got an ugly spirit is different saying that you just ugly on the outside.
Listen, trust me, the internet took care of that. They was comparing her to Gabrielle Union and everything else, and they the same age. And you calling somebody ugly? Yes, sis.
Yeah.
Bring it down. Bring it down.
Somebody said I look like I'm
okay. All right, I pulled it up. I pulled it up for the lovely people. Okay. Okay, so she had a little word in there. And, all right, I'm going to let you guys hear what she said. She was saying when you choose your friends, you got to choose up. But you know that the internet got this part. The other. Wait a minute.
How long have you been broke?
Let me be fair. Let me be fair. Hold on.
How many times have you?
Let me be fair.
You gotta choose up. Find you some value. Sometimes before we get friends, we have to do an interview. How long have you been broke? How many times have you changed your name on your light bill? How many of your bills in your little cousin's name? Do you live in a trailer home or a house? You understand. And it's not about status or material things. It's just about choices. Life is different now. And, we are at church. Thank God we're here. Those of us who are walking by faith without a mask and no vaccine. And so we honor the Lord. God is good. I respect all of the men of God here and respect you. Can y'all clap so I don't feel strange right about now? Hopefully we'll get a chance to meet each other when y'all invite me to come to your church. I'm not as expensive as I seem.
Okay, so she did talk about the ugly and all that extra stuff that goes along with it. The thing that's really puzzling to me is, well, the way that they, let's go here. The way that they recorded it, so she had a preface and she was talking about when you choose your friends. So you have to choose up. That's why I said, let me be fair. That's why I gotta be fair. Because everybody heard all the other stuff, but they didn't hear what came before. She just came with the, do you live in a trailer park? Do you live here? Blah, 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 blah. And I kind of understood, kind of like what you were saying, Amber. You know, she's probably speaking to like the seasoned church folk that are familiar with that. But when she started, after that, she started talking about the what was it? The ugly part. That was at the end. I didn't play that part when she was like, some of y'all ugly, you know what I mean? And it was like, just sing the song. So I don't know if she was singing That's What Friends Are For, or I don't know what song she was singing.
Right.
But if she was singing, right, if she was singing that, then it's like, okay, I see what you're talking about. But we don't know. We weren't there, and we just got the part that we got. Now, she did submit a apology letter. The apology letter, you know, reading and being an avid reader, we know that what's most important is what's at the beginning and what's at the end. And all the rest is just colorful. You know what I mean? But what's important is at the beginning and at the end. And she apologized at the beginning. And then at the end, it said that if you use my name or slander my name and all this stuff, this is alleged, you will be sued. So that was kind of that's a backhanded apology. Like, was it an apology? Go ahead, Nick.
She actually made a video and said that
came from her attorney.
But
she has to okay it.
Right.
So that was the first one. Then she came up with the second one, and she said she truly apologized. And a lot of people felt like, yeah, okay, that's because, you know, you're about to get canceled with this whole cancel culture thing.
Mm-hmm. People need, and that's the thing, like, with, like, people, especially stars, they need to, these entertainers, be mindful of what you say nowadays because of the cancel culture. Because, honey, 1 minute you hot, and the next minute you not. I mean, and that's just, like, with anything, period. But nowadays, they'll put you in the doghouse or in the poorhouse quicker than anything anymore. So they really need to be mindful. I mean, yes, they are people, just like we are. But you're at a higher status because you are, you know, entertaining the world with your God-given talent, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to be mindful of what you're saying, especially if you're a servant of God, because she's supposed to be singing gospel and into the church and everything. You really have to be mindful of what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, the church is supposed to be a healing place, a hospital for broken souls, for those seeking God, for...
And probably, you know, let's be real, 50% of the congregation probably do have, you know, bills in their cousin's name or, you know, whatever. Amber, go to the comment real quick.
So Derek Cathy from Facebook said, before you become this big gospel singer, did your friends choose up?
Boom.
Right. I mean... I want to play devil's advocate.
Go play the truth, Amber. Go with it.
Okay, I agree. I think the delivery was lacking. But I think that as you're trying to elevate yourself and you're trying to grow and improve, a big part of that is who you choose to surround yourself with in your friendship circle. I'm a firm believer in birds of a feather flock together. So if you're surrounded by people who are lacking in integrity, lacking in character, and I think those were examples of that. It's going to come into, because I never put bills in my child's name.
you gotta use it wisely. You only got one. You gotta wait until you need it. That's like a life. Yeah, you were like, let me wait till I need it. I'm gonna save it. Go to the next one.
Before I ruin his credit. Okay, so he's 18. Okay, but I think that was what she was saying. And yeah, like you're talking about now, current prefab manufacturer homes are very, very quite nice. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's just, she was just kind of beating around the bush of like a person's mentality, you know, and if they're your friend, it's going to influence you, you know, okay. And I'm a firm believer in dating up. So, I mean, I can understand how it applies to friendships as well.
Okay.
So I mean, I think, yeah, it was And then for me, I don't know if anybody caught my face, but when she said, I respect the men, I'm like, you don't respect the women? Like, why does she need to
respect the men of God? You know,
I'm like,
it seemed like they might have cut it because it like jumped. Okay. So probably, you know, them. I want to put this out here for people who may be having issues. If you can't see us, well, let me put it this way. You can catch us on YouTube. Shop Talk with Mel, then you can see our lovely faces if you're listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast station. And if you are viewing and you would like to just hear us and you're busy and you got to get going, the easiest way to me is to Google Shop Talk with Mel, and then you can just click on any of those, okay? And then you can catch up on the shows and get on here with us. If you want to join in this conversation, feel free to do so. The phone number here is 619-902-2287, 619-902-2287. We want to hear what you have to say. Now, back with what you were saying when she said she don't like the women. We already know how you go. And dating up is not a bad thing. That's what we do. What's the objective? What's the objective? Sometimes you have people who make more money and they're okay with, I don't need to date up, you know, I just want to find love. Okay, if that's your objective, there you go. But if you have an objective as I do, be equal. Because guess what? I'm not lying. At this age, I am not trying to, and like I'm with Kim Burrell, you know, and Gabrielle Union, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, okay, I don't want to do the work. So I got what she was saying. Now you said birds of a feather flock together. I disagree. I do. I disagree with that a bit. And I'm going to tell you why. Because just because you out with somebody, there may be differences. And I may need this person for this and that person for that. You know what I mean? Your whole camp to play a certain part. Now, wait. But I do believe if you lay down with dogs, you're bound to get fleas.
Right.
Now, that one I do. So we ain't laying down. We just kicking it. Birds of a feather flock together. Hey, girl, at the party, how you doing?
So that was something else I was thinking of. So, because I'm the same way, and this is actually just something that recently happened. I'm like, yeah, we're not on the same page. But I wouldn't call them my friend. I would say that's an acquaintance. But I feel like there's a big difference between like an acquaintance or an associate. Sometimes you know that you sporadically interact with, versus a true friend. Okay, I can understand that, and listen, I told you. They be like, who's in your circle? I said, I got a straight line. Because I'm going to tell you, every friend has a best friend. My mother said that a long time ago. Every friend has a best friend. If you don't want it told, don't say it. And that is the truth. So do know when you say something, there is a possibility that it'll come back, and you cannot be upset at the person that said it because they wouldn't have known if you didn't do it. And that might be that OCS, that only child syndrome thing, where I'm like, I got a straight line. Like, oh, yeah, we cool. Boom. But you got to know if you're going to put it out there and it comes back at you, you did that. I.e., what Kim Burrell did. You said that. You did that. So you can't threaten people because, you know, your attorney, I'm using air quotes, you can't be out here threatening, because it was a threat, threatening people, you know, to sue them off of something that you said. You let that come out of your mouth. Right.
So stand on it. Be like, yeah, I own it. But I did have to play the beginning because I have to be fair. If anybody know me, I have to be fair. She was talking about your friends. And yes, choosing up is not a bad thing. But just like what Mr. Kathy said, it was like, and I'm not calling you old, Mr. Kathy. I don't know how old you are. I just like to... I like to just put a lid on, you know what I'm saying, folks' names. So it's like, yeah, were people, let's be real. The comment she made, I didn't never kicked it with her. I wouldn't have kicked it with her. You wouldn't have been my friend. So talk about, did they friend up? Did you, you know, couldn't go up, choose your friends? She wouldn't have been in my circle. Get out of here. I got people close to me that I can't get rid of. They wouldn't have been, they won't be in my circle. Like if they were my friends and not like direct connect, I'm like, oh, and I tell them, I was like, oh no, we could have never been cool. That would be my daughter. I was like, we wouldn't have been.
My buddy alone.
We wouldn't have been cool in school. You know, I told her we wouldn't have been cool in school. She was like, really? I was like, you too extra. Like, she extra. And you be like,
all right, Fuzz, I love you, girl.
Yep, see, Nick, there you go. She should have been Nick's daughter. Like,
for real, she really should have. Because great minds think alike. We think alike. Sometimes we act alike. That's how.
Yeah, I'd be like,
one of them is a small family trait in there.
Somewhere. Yeah, I'd be like, I was like, you what? I don't want to fight, like they did. Remember that fight challenge? How do you guys feel about that fight challenge with the mothers telling their children? It's a fight challenge that's going around virally. Let me set it up for my listening audience. And what it is the parents are going in talking about, I'm getting ready to fight, and they're bringing their child or their daughter or their son, so you're going to have to fight them. That one little girl, the little girl and the little boy was like, what did I do? Why I had to fight?
Right. Like that, to me, that was not cute.
At all. It was unnecessary trauma to me. That was unnecessary trauma to me.
I know. I saw one, it was a big brother. He was like, grown, and he had like a little 8-year-old sister, and he was like, hey, come on, I'm about to fight this dude, and he might have a little sister, and if he has a little sister, I need you to fight her. And she was like, she put her shoes on.
Oh, she was ready.
I've seen a lot of little kids got ready to go, but that's not, to me, that was the dumbest challenge that anybody could. And I have a lot of people that I'm cool with or whatever that did that challenge, and I'm sorry, y'all, but that was stupid.
It was unnecessary trauma.
Very unnecessary.
Now, did you see the one little girl that told her mother, she was like, I'm not fighting. She was like, that's why I take you over grandma. She was like, well, I hope you win. I was like, right. Like, how you putting me in something? I don't want no parts of this mess. This is team too much.
I thought that was the only one I seen. I didn't know it was a whole challenge. That was the only one I had seen.
It's a challenge. And I just honestly, it told you the mindset, the way the child responded, let you know the mindset of the people that you're dealing with. And when you're dealing, right, Nick, you got to see her face. And when you're dealing with that type of parent, which myself and Amber D have dealt with, you'll be like, okay. So when they get into like a school setting, and that's where I went. I went a little further. I was like, oh man, if this is what you're getting at home, no wonder the schools are having so many issues. They down, and then my mother down too, because my mother was like, and this is what you gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want to fight. Let's all be kind. Let's do what we need to do. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's move
I
on.
had the type of parents that was like, I got this. You know what I mean? They handle their own. Even me and my brother be like, wait a minute. Grown, as we were grown, my parents be like, nah,
who was that? Was it Eve? I think it was. It was Eve and what's her name? Keisha Cole. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say alleged because I don't want to mess up the names. Eve was with her and Keisha. I think somebody like stole a purse or something like that. Don't quote me on it. You guys got to check that out because it's old news. Where Keisha Cole was ready to fight. Eve was like, I can't kick it with you, and that's when I understood Kim when she said, choose your friends. Choose up when you choose your friends because they can cost you your career. They can cost you your livelihood. Who is going to jail? Who getting you out of jail? Now you got to pay attorney fees. You got to look at the bigger picture there. All right, enough of Kim. Let's move on to Kels. R. Kelly. R. Kelly, he was evaluated and he blamed his ex-wife for his behavior. Alleged. Because I read it off another news outlet, so I don't want to have it come from me. Yes. yes, and yes. He blamed his ex-wife saying she had a duty. Now, like I know, and all we know is her side because we never heard his side. Because remember, he didn't say anything in the Surviving R. Kelly. But she was there when things was going on. I really feel like I told y'all before she should be arrested as well.
Yeah, she really should. But go on.
They're looking at it as like kind of like a racketeering type scheme thing, and maybe he did control her. He said she wanted to be a dancer instead of his wife as she promised. I'm paraphrasing. Well, she was a dancer. That's how you met her.
That's how you met her. And to rebut his little conversation blaming her, dude, you was doing that mess before you got married to her.
Boom.
Plan.
Absolutely. And then he spoke about his issues. You remember he was allegedly molested and stuff like that. And he said that his song, the sexual part in Ignition, was him speaking about his own experiences.
He should have. He knew that was wrong. He should have.
But he's a little boy.
Yeah, but I'm talking about as a grown person, and that's the thing. The black community needs, and we've said this before many times on many shows. It's okay to seek help. It's okay. It is okay. That prevents mindsets like that, and instead of going to drugs, going to drinking, and then him being decided
or hurting somebody else.
That going to vent and reach out to somebody that's really going to help you, or it's okay to do that. And the black community has a problem with seeking counseling. I don't know why.
I'll tell you why.
Have that problem.
Because of the backlash, because of the unacceptance, because of our own, like, oh, they crazy. And you're dealing with somebody that's high profile, and it's like, is it going to make or break me? So, and I'm not that person, and I don't want to speak for them, but you got to look at it, remove yourself from the photo and look at it. You look at the portrait, and you're like, okay, will I be judged? If I was that person, you know what I mean? And I'm just on the rise, but I had this happen to me. Will I be accepted? And in our community, you have a lot of that. That's why you got a lot of liars. And, we be talking about the whole dating scene and, why our guys he's a big liar and a cheater. Maybe because he wasn't accepted or she wasn't accepted for who they were. And this is where you need to be. And you know what? And it stems from our past. We have to be great. We have to be greater. You know what I mean? The weight of the world is on our shoulders. The weight of our race is on our shoulders. I explained to you guys, this was some time ago. Remember, I told you when I was in management and I was the only black face in the place up there. It was the weight of my entire race on my shoulders. And it was like, okay, Mel, knowing that I'm not responsible for all of these people. But when we walk out, because we're at such a disadvantage that when we walk out of the door, we are our entire race. We are the example. And it's sad. It's so sad because it's like, well, that person robbed you. And then you meet somebody and this is what you hear. Oh, you're not like the others. That proves my point. And then is that offensive to me? It is. But guess what? I understand because it's so sad that we are that way that it's like, okay, I walk out the door. I don't just represent male. I represent my family and the entire race of a black female. You see a black, okay, this, and it's like, wait, first impressions are lasting, but why am I responsible for all these millions of people? You know what I mean? It's just interesting. I did see, Annette, I see your comment where you said the stigma that's attached to it. It is, but it's being released. That stigma of, okay, you're crazy, all that, it's being released now, but people do need to talk. I understand the man has a problem. And before we go to that one comment over there for the dating scene, I just want to say, if you feel like you need help, there are sociologists, psychologists, there are organizations that are available for you. But watch this, the trust issue. So if you have been hurt, you got a problem with trusting people, right? Then you go to an organization because you seek help, and that's mental health. So this is personal, not help with your bills and all that other stuff, because you go to the job or you go to seek help, and then there's somebody that you are there with that look just like you, and then they go tell everybody else what you're doing there. And that's what we see. Tell me I'm lying.
You're not. And the crazy thing is, people will be like, for real, yeah, and get into the gossip without thinking, well, what was you doing there to see them?
Right.
You said you're talking about them,
or they work there
for the
because
same reason, or for a different reason, but you were there in order to see them. Like, people just,
or they work there.
Gossip of it.
Listen, or they work there, and you know you went to school with somebody, and then you know how they were in school, and now you have to go, I need help. And even though you have that confidentiality that's supposed to be there, but it's us to talk about us. Mm-hmm. So that's another show.
Right.
You want to comment? Can you separate the art from the artist?
Me, it's hard to. And as far as Art Kells and his blaming his wife, no, because he's an abuser. And then just speaking for all of the victims of molestation and stuff, and they did not choose. They go and abuse others and inflict pain on others. So I'm not supporting that. I'm like not making excuses for it. Ignition came out when he was a grown adult, and like Nick said, he could have made the choice to go and get professional help, as he should have, instead of going and becoming an abuser and then turn around and blaming his wife. So
let me say this. Okay, let me say this. And we're speaking, I don't know, have you guys been abused?
No.
You, Nick? Don't want to say it? Okay. Well, let me say this. Amber's speaking from a place of not being abused. I'm speaking of a place of not being abused. So I don't know. I don't know how long it takes. I don't know. I'm not the person, but speaking with different people, maybe they suppressed those memories and then they came back when they got older. I just believe in fair chances. And if that man said that was it, that was his experience. And just as those women said that was it, that was their experience. I believe on another show you were talking about Bill Cosby. I think we were talking about Bill. And all those women are saying the same exact thing. Mm-hmm. Look what's happening with the quarterback for the Browns? I can't think of his name right now.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it was the massages, and they were saying it was inappropriate. So you say it today? Now, see, that's where I'm different. How long have we heard short time, long time? It came from somewhere. Not to say it's okay. I like your cup, Nick. Show the people your cup. There we go. Yeah, I love it.
Get my hand out the way. There we go.
All right.
Get my banner on. Shop Talk with Mel, y'all.
Oh, hey. Okay.
And can I say the name of the
Yes,
person?
you can.
Bella Creations. Y'all got to get with Bella Creations. This girl's bad when it comes to these cups now.
Okay. Doing it up. All right. So now, Sesame Place. Notice it's not Sesame Street anymore.
I heard. Like they doing too much. Just doing too much.
So from what I read about it, that Sesame Place is, I guess there's multiple across the country, these like thingies, amusement park things.
Uh-huh.
And this one in particular is located in a really like homogenous and like racist, conservative area. So a lot of the staff members have those ideologies. And then on top of that, it would seem that their management, possibly the company, is enabling that behavior because it wasn't just one singular incident.
It was
this is like a reoccurring.
What was the character? I can't think of the character's name.
It was like pale green.
Yeah, it was pale green and just walked past the black children.
Then did that to the little kids too.
Oh yeah, that was running up. Yeah. But what I learned, like with Elmo, like when because it's a costume, so it's who's in the costume. And I think the person in that costume needs to be fired. Because if you have an issue, I mean, you're a character and everybody's supposed to be all inclusive. And they did make a statement, and you guys can check that out because we're running out of time on that. But that person should be fired. But I know with like Elmo costumes, there's a licensure with that you have to, because they hold themselves accountable and responsible. And they have a disclaimer in there. It's like, we're all inclusive. So if you're going to wear this costume and portray to be this character, you have to act accordingly. Thank you, Derek Deshaun Watson. That's his name, from the Browns quarterback with his issues. You have to hold yourself, like, why would you even be in a parade if you're not going to like all the children? These children, like, they're children.
They're taking their opportunity to oppress and make them feel bad and really negatively mark those little Black children's psyche. That's why they're doing it. I have an opportunity to be petty and throw an egg at somebody's car. I'm going to do it. Ain't no actual reason, logic behind it. You know what I'm saying? They just want to spread their hate and want to make little Black kids feel bad. And I don't think firing that particular person is a solution. Because I genuinely believe it's a systemic issue. It starts at the top and it trickles down to the bottom to the actual person wearing the costume. And they were told, they were never corrected. It was never pulled to the side and say, hey, you can't do this or whatever. That's an upper management issue. And I firmly believe it's more than just one individual in that organization that's doing that stuff.
Okay, I see one of the viewers actually pretty much feel the same way you do. But we can't put it out there because I ain't trying to get canceled. You guys can read it. Her opinion, her voice. All right, Netflix, they're charging extra money now. Supposed to be an additional $2 because of the whole shared passcode thing. Now, but
they go up every couple years.
But here's the thing, though. They started off that way. Remember, you could share your passcode. Remember that? That was what they were banking on. And then now I guess they're not making any money. So it's like, no, you can't share your passcode. And because there's so many different streaming. You got Hulu. You got a whole bunch.
There's so much competition. And the market is becoming saturated.
So now they're like, okay, we want our money. How are we going to do that? So what's your thoughts real quick on these changes?
It's a business. Capitalist America. It is what it is.
How about that?
I mean, I've heard really good things about Peacock, so shop your market. See what your options are as a consumer.
And that's what we have to do. That's exactly what we have to do. Well, you see Monique won, right?
I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, girl.
She won.
Well, Netflix won't be getting no more of my money. I changed the bank account on them. So I probably didn't watch Netflix like that anyway.
We gonna give a shout out to Monique because she won, so she gets her Netflix. Remember we were talking about it, and it was like, okay, well, they're probably paying her off. Remember they settled, so they settled, and then I was like, well, they paying her off. She ain't gonna get no special, but she got a special too. Do you think that will increase the ratings or decrease the ratings? And it's supposed to be what I think Lee Daniels, to my understanding.
Hey, listen, the way she been cutting up lately and going off on people, humble it, Monique. Humble it, baby, because it seemed like as soon as you start losing that weight, it went to your brain. And don't get me wrong, I love Mo. Love her to death. But lately, she been doing some off-the-wall stuff. Calm down, boo.
Your thoughts, Amber?
I agree with Nick. I do feel like as far as just, in our current culture, like going viral, any attention is good attention. Because I remember the show where she got into it. I think it was in Detroit. And it was
talking about DL, you mean?
Huh?
You talking about DL Hughley, that show?
Yeah.
That was foul.
I will definitely say it wasn't funny to me. I'm just speaking for myself.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't funny, but it was shocking. Like, my mouth was left open because she went all the way in. And it definitely seemed like some backstory, like some stuff you didn't have to bring to
your show. I came to laugh.
Right,
I came to laugh.
It was juicy gossip.
And see, yes, it was. But here's the problem, though. And y'all already know because that's what I do. So I knew the backstory to it and what it was about a headliner. But my problem is, if I come to see you perform, I want to laugh. I want to see you. I don't want to see what you mad at. I don't want to hear your side of the story. Let me get an interview. You know what I mean? To do it that way. But if I came, I need to laugh. I don't want to be like, oh, what? Like, you changed my emotion. I might have been at the house like, oh, I need to laugh. And now I'm here. Now I got more stress and his problems. I don't want to hear his problems about his daughter. I learned so much stuff from that special. And I was like, I really don't want to know that. I came to laugh. Same thing. I got up out of a Cat Williams comedy show. It was in Cleveland. And, downtown. And he was talking. Remember when he got beat up by that little boy?
Right.
That's what his whole show was about. I came to laugh. Mark Curry was amazing. So the people that opened up for him, they were funny. But his time, it was all about that. Like, I don't want to talk about that.
Venting. He was
venting. And that's what she was doing. I'm not your counselor. I came to laugh. Can you do the job? Back to Kim Burrell. Can you just sing the song? Sing the song.
Do what you
came to do. Do what you was hired to do. It's like, it's way too much, and everybody wants their voice heard, and it's all well and good, but there's a time and a place. If I paid you to sing a song, sing a song. If I paid to come and laugh, please make me laugh. I don't want to hear about y'all problems. And that's why I'm kudos to Chris Rock. And they were like, oh, we gonna go because we know he gonna say something about the whole Will Smith thing. He did his thing. And when the clips that I did see that he talked about it, it was just his response to it. Boom, dropped it off and went to his comedy special.
Right.
I came for that. I ain't come for all this extra stuff. I ain't that invested.
Right. And I just want to say, as someone who's like sensitive, like I don't like being around angry people, you know, because I feel like emotions are contagious. And like you were saying, venting, you know, Mo was venting, but people like, and why I don't particularly care for a lot of hip hop and rap music is they're venting and they're projecting those emotions onto you. Like, ooh, like I don't need all this negativity and
you fell out with him? I don't care.
Right, exactly. And it's like, I don't need those. You need a therapist. It sounds like you need a therapist. It sounds like you got a lot of trauma going on. Like, you know, but yeah, I definitely can. I mean, it wasn't funny, but I was definitely like,
like what's gonna happen, right? Like, jeez.
Right. Oh Lord, yeah, she went off, yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about this groom, the drunk groom. It was a lady who was getting married, and as she was walking down, I guess they kicked it the night before, you know, and somebody offered him a drink prior to the wedding, and she was coming down the aisle. She said he was crying, but she knew something was off because he was crying uncontrollably.
Yeah.
And the guy who was officiating the wedding, I guess he allegedly drank from the same cup. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't really officiate. She was doing the ceremony. She was like doing the ceremony, you know what I mean, telling him what to say. Come to find out, somebody spiked the drink. Spiked the groom's drink. And it was with Adderall.
Right, I was going to say that, because when I hear spike, I think alcohol, like somebody spiked the apple juice and put alcohol in it. But that was drugging.
Exactly.
You know, to me, that's not the same as being spiked. And they went and got blood tested or whatever. And yeah, that's how they figured out what drug was put in there. And then also, I only watched a snippet of it, but the groom said that he was like, I thought I was fine, but I was crying for 3 days. Like, he was just crying and crying and crying. I mean, how scary is that?
Listen, for the bride, do you not want to marry me? I'm glad she knew her spouse. I'm glad she knew him to say, okay, something's off here.
It's wrong.
And she knew the person officiating to know something was off. Listen here.
That sounded like it was sabotage.
Right.
That's how I felt.
That would be my first question as
somebody that she
couple.
used to date or somebody that he used to date.
Or somebody who's bitter and jealous. My first priority would be to figure out who did it. I'm sorry.
But wasn't it a destination wedding?
Right.
So those, you think those are your friends?
Alleged friends.
I would have been, as a bride, just coming down like, wait, what's going on? And, you know, everybody's probably like, oh, wait, does he not want to marry her? And then she got to tell the doggone officiant what to say because he out of it, too. Like, that's a lot, yes.
She needs a do-over.
And I'd be suing, too. And when I figure out who did it, I'd be suing.
And see, that's the thing. Who would do that? Who would do that?
A snake in the grass.
But let's be realistic here. You're at your wedding. It's all your friends. I'm like, here, take this. Boom, boom, boom. And you're not thinking that anybody would do something like that. I don't think the ex would even be there. But if the ex was, because it...
A friend. Somebody they thought was friend. Or my other thing is not to be like, you know, thinking the worst is maybe because they did say they was out drinking like normal. Maybe somebody put some Adderall in there so that he wouldn't fall asleep
at the wedding.
At the wedding, but a good friend would have told him, like, I'm gonna give you something so you don't fall asleep and embarrass yourself. Not only and because you don't know how people respond to medications, and it seemed like it had to been a lot. I mean, I just can imagine crying for 3 days.
I believe it was like 4. They said it was over. No, I think it was a big number. Like they said, the blood level was like 10, not 4.
High.
Yeah, it was high, like 10. But I think the one that officiated the wedding, it was like his blood level was like the amount of 4. But I'm like, how many milligrams? 5, 10, 30? You know, it's it's crazy. So when you think you have a friend, because like I said, a destination wedding, when you think you have a friend, you got to watch out for everybody. Because I did look at that. I went that way too, Amber, where I was like, well, maybe they were like, okay, you drunk, I need you to be awake for your wedding.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And they probably would have told too, like, hey, I gave it to him. I was just trying to be helpful. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want, because we went pretty hard the night before. I didn't want him to fall asleep in the middle of the reception. Or
could have been, but they said it was spiked. That's what they said. But because you know that person would have went to jail. Because that's a prescribed drug. It's a controlled drug. So
a strong drug.
Yeah, interesting. It was just really, really deep for me. The 911 operator who didn't send help for the person that was in need, and the lady passed away. Now, a lot of people don't know the work that go into a 911 operator. Man. What's your thoughts, Amber, on that?
From what I've heard from other people that work in like EMT and first responders, it was wrong. He's just wrong. They go out on unnecessary calls all the time. And the fact that the operator was speaking to the child, and the child was calling in about the mother, and the mother was like incapacitated to speak to the operator themselves. I feel like, and the child's like, no, something's wrong. They should have sent someone, even if it was not even an ambulance, but a police officer to do a wellness check. But to just like, oh, well, we'll see because we don't want to waste resources. What? No.
I was under the impression that when you call 911, they'll ask you, you know what I mean? Do you need an ambulance? I see, that's what I get for playing. You see what I was about to say, right? Because I'd be like, ambulance. And I was getting ready to actually say it, ambulance, because I'd be like, oh, I can't stand people be like, ambulance. I was about to say it, play too much, and see, I better start playing. But they'll ask you, do you need an ambulance? Yes, no, you know what I mean? And in that case, I think so. But I was under the impression that if they, if you call, they'll be like, yes. Like they send automatically. Help us out, Nick. What's your thoughts? And from your experience, if you were a 911 operator,
you're supposed to send help. Period. That's your job. Send help.
Go ahead, Amber, what you got?
From what I understand, just like all medical stuff, you have to advocate for yourself. So I've known for a long time that if you're calling 911, you need to say, I want a responding officer. I want an ambulance sent to my location. So I do know that you have to like verbalize and say and instruct them as to what service you want provided to you, right? But if the mother was incapacitated and couldn't speak, I'm just like, and then it seemed like the trauma you would have left on that child, because then they're like, I should have been firm and I should have just, when the problem is you wasn't doing your job,
Right.
So I just feel like if you're, especially if you have any experience dealing with little people, you are the adult. So you need to act like it. And you know what I'm saying? And little people need help and assistance sometimes. And you need to make your best decision as the adult in the conversation. So I support that.
Okay. Nick, you want to read the comment?
Yes. Annette Y. Edwards Williams said, I sent police, fire, EMTs, etc. to check regardless. Let them check. Exactly. That's your job, is to send them in. Exactly. Your job is to send them out, because you never know. Because like you said, there has been a lot of times children have saved their parents because something happened where their parents couldn't speak. So,
don't remember when you like. How many times have you had where some child or somebody was doing 911 and they didn't hit the other one, it'd go automatically, or they'll send somebody if the phone hangs up. So I was just really, I was just confused with that. Like, why wouldn't you send somebody?
And I don't know if it's a thing where every time they go out that costs the city money, and kids do play on phones a lot, but like you never know. That's your job. Whether you think it was a child playing on the phone or not, that is your job all the way around. If it costs the city money, so what?
True.
Now, I've heard some townships, little cities or whatever, they'll start charging you for those fake calls, or send them out like when people got them alarm systems and it'll be like an accident and they come out. If it keeps happening, they'll start charging you. So I feel like a lot of cities have a way to respond to that already set in place if it's like a false call. So again,
it's just interesting how, somebody will make a decision. And when they make that decision, it is the decision. Like that, she'll never get her mother back. I called, I did everything I was supposed to do. We teach our young people, call 911 if you feel, the city does that as well. It's like, what? They teach you. You go to those little workshops. Do they still have those? Those little workshops where they do the ID cards for the little people? And the fingerprint. They used to do the ID cards. They take a picture of your child if you get lost. If you get a phone call. Like, I don't understand. I don't. I just don't understand. So that's why I'm like, help me understand what's going on. Hello? Help me? Can you?
Oh, sorry.
Can you?
I don't. What did the 911 operator explain? From what I understood, it was money, and that's why they're hesitating to send out assistance.
Annette said that after 3 calls, then you're charged. She believes that you're charged after 3 calls. Okay, fine. Yeah, that's what they should do. But the thing is, the initial call, send someone out.
See, that's...
I'm not understanding why that wasn't done. So what are they going to do to the 911 operator? And where was this at?
Oh, $25 per call. There we go. I knew that they had the programs. I was for the listening audience that's on the podcast. We have in the comments where they're saying how much the calls are. So every city, every state is a different fee. Especially if you coming out, it's like quit playing on the phone. You know what I'm saying? But now everybody has cell phones, and very seldom do you find somebody with a home phone, except Holla. Shout out to Miss Holla. She still got the whole phone. Okay. So it's like what's the chances of somebody picking up your phone just dialing 911? But I do know, like in California, you dial 911, it calls it automatically. You could just dial 911, that one, if you felt the need to call that, you knew something was going on. We got to pay some bills around here, so let's do this commercial. Or not. Oh, sorry. Look, I'm like, or not. I'm trying.
My name is Ronald Shad, Democrat, running for the House of Representatives, the 59th District. My campaign has been endorsed by the Vindicator and the Youngstown Warren Black Caucus. While in Columbus, my mission will be to fight for your rights to vote, the taxpayer rights, reproductive and human rights. I plan to fight for improved education, improved health care, and access to job creation and economic development. On August 2nd, vote Ronald Shad, House of Representatives, for a voice for the Valley and a better Ohio. This message was paid for by the Friends of Ron Shad. Ron Shad approves this message.
All right.
And speaking of, we see you in here. Good morning.
Hi, this is, I didn't know that, but this is a live show, so let's focus. I'm like, come on, Nick.
I want say good morning.
No. Otherwise, we'll have to say good morning to all the people that's listening.
Of course, we say good morning.
I don't, because we can't, because you should see this phone. So no.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, we got a whole show there. So there you have Ron Shadd, House of Representatives. Don't forget to vote August the 2nd. August the 2nd, Ron Shadd. Yep, I'm like, let's pay some bills up in here. Run that. Got to do what I got to do. Gonna have to run it again because Nick cut it off. I'm like, that's how your money get took. You gotta play it. All right. We talked about that. What's the young man's name? Durante Watkins. Durante Watkins, for listeners, if you don't know anything about this young man went to a party and his friends took him to, you know what? Set it up. Go ahead.
Air quotes.
Set it up. Which one of y'all? Either one of you, Nick or Amber. Set up the part of this young man.
Went to, he was set to go to college, play football, you know. He went to a party with a couple of his friends. And mind you, they are in Missouri, mostly white community. And went to a party with his friends. The party happened to be at a known white supremacist house. 3 a.m. in the morning, this white supremacist called 911 and calmly said that someone had committed suicide and they were upstairs in his attic, in a closet, a makeshift closet in his attic. And he, you know, his story was that the man, you know, committed suicide. He said
the boy,
or whatever, a boy. I'm sorry, yeah, I said young man, but yeah, boy. The thing is, he had just had surgery, so his dominant hand, which he would have used the gun with, was in a cast. And allegedly, a neighbor said that this is the second time that this has happened at that white supremacist house. They have not charged that white supremacist. They also took this young man's body. The coroner pronounced it as a suicide, embalmed him. Nobody informed the mother at first. Nobody talked to her about anything. She hired a private investigator, hired a private investigator. They got another coroner, out, a medical examiner out, and a medical examiner said this was an intentional. It was not a suicide. It was an intentional death. It was a homicide. The DA picked a jury, the special jury, whatever, I can't remember. But anyway, the jury concluded after 2 hours that this was homicide. It was an intentional homicide. The state police had to take over. They, along with the sheriff of this county and the DA, have all said, okay, well, you just have to get over it. Your son committed suicide. So now
pretty much alleged.
And this happened last year, people. Last year.
And I'm sure a lot of you guys probably had no idea about this story. Go ahead. What's your thoughts, Amber, on this one?
So, thoughts and prayers to the mother, first of all. But as far as like actionable, things, it's kind of limited. But like, unfortunately, it's really sad. And but just as far as like as a community, like to me, this is just another example of Black people. We need to be in positions of power and influence. We need more Black DEAs. We need more Black prosecutors. We need more Black judges, more Black attorneys, more Black police chiefs and police officers and everything. Because this is, to me, I don't know how this couldn't be systemic, And they need, so they brought in the state police, right, to investigate the situation. Okay, so what's the follow-up? Is the investigation active? Are they looking for who committed the homicide? And that's probably because that the first medical examiner started to do the embalming, was the autopsy even completed?
Yeah,
and
he completed the autopsy and then just went on ahead and embalmed the body without the mother.
Right, without her consent. Now, in different cultures, people don't believe in embalming. So how are you just going to go and take my minor and just do what you want to do? See, I looked at that when I read it and was listening to it. I said, you know what, this is all different. Now, the young man was in a predominantly white community. He was the only black child at this party. So again, let's go back to the friends. Let's go back to the friends, shall we? The name of this show should have been "What About Your Friends?"
It was
and look, and instead of "What's the word?" Y'all know what the follow up is of that? What's the word? Do you know it?
Thunderbird.
Yeah. Okay.
Back in the day.
Okay. Because I swear, Kimberly, I was like, is she drunk? Like, what? What? But with this case, I looked at it. I said, okay, so he injured his hand. So, and I'm going to say alleged just to cover me, from his hand down to his elbow. Okay, so he's already in a disadvantage, so he can't even fight for his life. Okay, and then you go with your friends to a known white supremacist house. The flag is out there. Excuse me, at some point, I'm not doing it. And here's what's sad.
Y'all got me messed up.
Here's what's sad. That who would have thought in this time that you have to prepare your child for racism? And I'm looking at it, I'm not blaming the mom. I'm looking at it, she had to be just an open person that, you know, if you experience, probably didn't think he would experience it because he was on the football team and everybody seemed to love him in the photos that I saw, to think, okay, you're still black. And we have to teach ours. And it's sad because they're innocent. Just like, remember before, they're like, oh, racism, you're not born with racism. You have to be taught racism. Y'all remember that stuff going around? Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh, that white child was taught racism. Mm-hmm. I've experienced it. I experienced it because the child was on my answering machine. Let me tell you what happened. My daughter, it was her girl. This was her friend. And they were in elementary school. And the little girl was crying because she couldn't come to Courtney's party. She could not come to Courtney's party. This little girl, 2nd grade, was crying and on there. And she said, I can't come to your party because you're black. That was left on my machine. Courtney didn't understand that. But I'm looking. So now I have to explain this to a little child because it was on the answer machine. I'm glad the little girl did say all of that. And then you heard a male voice was like, give me that phone, you know?
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, we need to talk about it. Shout out to Roosevelt Elementary in McDonald, Ohio. I'll definitely say that because what they did, they talked about it. They addressed it. The whole school did. And they had Culture Week. I think it's Culture Week or Culture Day. Because I was like, whoa, hold on. But I didn't think that I would have to teach my child that. Because, you know, a child is just that, a child. Now, this young man, I don't know if he was like 16, 17, young man 17. Though. But we have to, you got to prepare them for the world and be like, listen, you're going where? You're going to a party. And at some point, I really feel like that young man probably didn't know what the flag meant, you know, was oblivious to racism at some point, because I got to be honest. Listen, remember when we was young and you walk past and if somebody was weird, you'd be like, oh, that's the weird man's house or that's the weird lady's house. You know what I mean? Yeah. You'd be like, no, we don't go on that way. You cross the street. Somewhere, and I'm not making excuses for him or for the white guy, the killer. I'm not making excuses for him, but you're the only black one there. You go there with your friends to a party to this man's house. That's a big no-no. Who's having a party? This man. That's weird. And it sounds like a setup. Okay. It sounds like a setup.
And I feel like, as far as the mother, you're pointing out and teaching your child, I'm like, maybe I'm militant, but I taught my child in kindergarten, okay? Like, you know, what time it was. And then, you know, we've spoke about it before, but as far as black folks putting their child or electing them to be in predominantly white environments, I don't get it. Couldn't be me. I would feel uncomfortable. I don't care if they don't got KKK flags everywhere. It don't matter. Like, I don't understand how they feel comfortable. And then not to prepare your child for the real world. You know what I'm saying?
Probably just a fair shot. Probably just, trying to like, okay, here we go. Everybody, they are not their ancestors. Let's be real. Just like we be like, we are not our ancestors.
We're not our ancestors.
And
exactly.
and I think that mom, I really feel like mom was like, okay, they didn't do that to me. You know what I'm saying? Here you go. But you have people out there that's whacked out. And to embalm that child and then talk about 3 o'clock in the morning, where's my child at?
Hello?
Where's my child? They never came back from this party. There's an issue. And it sounds like he got the hookup and he influences the area. It like you said, it's systemic. It sounds systemic because how a coroner just going to go and do this and don't talk to the parent. How you going to just embalm mine? Like, no. Because it sounds like you're trying to cover something.
Exactly.
They are trying to cover it. And the
Exactly.
thing is, his social media, he makes it known because he has all kinds of racist jokes. His neighbor told the police that he ran into him in Walmart the one day, and he basically all but confessed. Said that he can do something like that and easily get away with it. Well, dude, this is your second time doing it because the first person that supposedly committed suicide at your house happened to be a white person.
Mm-hmm.
They are all working together. They are covering up. This is a known thing. Then on top of that, there was a protest that was done in that city. That little city antagonized the protesters, throwing nooses at them and everything like that. So there needs to be more black presence.
And see, this is where I come in. I thought the Black Lives Matter would be with that.
Boom.
Or is it just the Black Lives Matter with the police killing? Because let's be real, that one guy, I can't even think of his name, and nobody deserves to die at somebody else's hand. Let me say that. That guy shot in that woman's house. So he and her daughter, she was feeding her child. Yeah, you out here in these streets, like, come on, live by the sword, die by the sword. But in this particular case, here's a lady who, and I'm just speaking, so this is just my opinion. I'm thinking that she doesn't have the resources available, and that's why they felt they could do them any kind of way. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, okay, well, they don't have this to, what I mean? You pick your prey.
That's right.
So it's like, okay, let me see what's really going on. But to me, the Black Lives Matter movement, I read up on it. I'm like, okay, you're supposed to help injustices. This is an injustice. And this particular, be the resources that she need. Let me know my money that I donated is going for this.
Oh, sis got it together. She getting it. She got help.
But this was a whole year ago, and we didn't hear anything about it.
Yeah,
why was that?
She's still fighting, but they're trying to get it to the Supreme Court. But it's just that whole little community is together. It's right.
It needs to be larger than that community. That's why I'm saying. Go ahead, Amber. You want to read the comment?
So Derek Cathy said, "Black Lives Matter is a great slogan, but what about the action?" And when you had mentioned protest, my first thought is, what is a protest going to do? This is a lawsuit situation. This is a legislation change situation. This is a change of leadership and resignation and criminal charges being filed situation. This is not protesting. Like, where is, like you said, actionable? Like, where is stuff that's going to matter and be effective? And yeah, Black Lives Matter, instead of organizing protests, they should be, sponsoring legal fees.
See,
like this mother does not have the resources to fight a whole city, but Black Lives Matter does.
Right. And see, that's where I'm at. I'm like, where are they in this? If you want in on this conversation, feel free to do so. The phone number here is 619-902-2287. 619-902-2287. You can send texts and I'll read them as we have been. I just feel like Black Lives Matter needs to be in on that. You know what I'm saying?
And I feel like they've defended problematic victims of police brutality as well, because this gentleman is not the first one. I'm like, okay, this guy wasn't really innocent. Okay,
the one that shot into the woman's house while she's feeding her child, right. And then we're like, yes,
the mother was, out with the Black Lives Matter protesters, like, combating him, and that's the part I saw. I'm like, yeah, I'm low key not surprised, because if you've ever been a victim of a crime or been assaulted, you're like, oh wait, you a criminal.
Yeah, and why are we supporting you?
You got what was coming to you, sir.
That's why I'm like, live by the sword, die by the sword.
Right.
Like, come on. Now, then it's like, okay, or this person was shot so many times. And I get that. And if you're innocent, I'm behind you 110%. This is not okay. This situation in Missouri with this young man, what is it? Durante? Am I saying it right?
Durante what?
Okay. Him. To me, Black Lives Matter need to step up. His life mattered.
Definitely.
We're getting ready for how much funds do you need for your legal fees? Like, come on.
Yep.
Come on. In cases as such. Here's a black woman, child out, 3 o'clock in the morning, and went to a party. And I'm like, listen, here. I love my black people. I love my white people. But let me go. I'm quite uncomfortable. If it's just me, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, because when I go out, I don't care who I'm with. I got to find the exits, okay? But if I'm the only one at the party, and I'm looking like, wait, hold on, I ain't going in there. And then guess what? My white friend, they already know because they know me. They be like, oh, Mel ain't fooling with me on that. No, Mel ain't.
The young man's last name, his last name is Martin. His mother's name is...
That's it, Martin, not Watson.
Lott.
Erica Lott Martin, that's his last name.
For anybody that wants to donate or anything, it's Justice for Durante, which is DERONTAE.
Thank you, that's it.
Durante.
Martin, that's it. Durante Martin. That was horrific. And she lost her son, and they just like, okay, just look at it as a suicide. That's what's going to be.
Right.
He had surgery on his right hand, which was his dominant hand, on April 22nd of 2021. On April 24th, 2021, he went to a birthday party.
See? They was like, oh, he gonna be weak. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Sit your butt down.
Yeah, and it was a classmates party. This James Wade is her father. And at 3:01 a.m., Mr. Wade called 911. On the 25th, now, mind you, this was 24th. On the 25th, Durante's mother learned of the death, the following morning from other family members, not the police. The police did not call her. The family told her. On the 27th, she still didn't hear anything from law enforcement directly, so she reached out to the sheriff's department for information about her son's death. She was met with hostility and still given no information. On the 28th, the local coroner is the one that conducted the autopsy and concluded the death was suicide. On May 11th, the family ordered a second independent autopsy. The findings were released and noted several inconsistencies from the initial autopsy. So they've been fighting this since
April of 2021.
Of 2021.
That's interesting. It was inconsistent with me. I'm looking at the whole picture. I'm like, wait a minute, this seems weird. And I thought that Wade guy was the other one that got killed. The white guy. I thought that was the white guy that got shot. So I'm mixing up the name. Okay, so that's the one that made the 911 call.
The white person that got killed at the house with James Wade is the guilty party.
Okay.
See, and I hope this mother sues that city into the ground. I want that city to file bankruptcy. I hope these people lose
the coroner too. The coroner, everybody.
Please. I hope she gets all kinds of vengeance and retribution against that whole city.
And you know what, though? This is what I'm going to say. I'm just going to put this out here because just being a parent, and you know how children do what they want to do. When your parents say, sit your butt down and heal, sit your butt down and heal. Because everybody is not your friend. And I do feel like, come on. So 3 days he got the cast 3 days in? When I'm listening to the dates that Nick said? So you had surgery on the 22nd.
On the 22nd, April 22nd. On the 24th is when he went to that party.
So 2 days, 48 hours. You cannot do anything, but that's trusting. That's trusting. You trust your friends more than your family and your loved ones who are actually the ones that's caring for you. And I'm going to tell you, and you can ask mine. With mine, they ask me for my advice. If they don't take my advice and they go crazy or go to the left, Guess what? Whoever advice you took, you go ask those people if you still alive. Now, if you take my advice and it go to the left, I got you 110%.
Right.
I'm going to help you out because you took my advice. But you can't take somebody.
Listen to this real quick. April 14th of this year, Wade was arrested and being held in custody for a shooting incident he was involved in, but it was not the Durante Martin case. So this man.
He's
so
a problem.
Y'all saying
he is. It sound like he a problem. And
he's
first
a
of all,
problematic person, but
now,
he's getting off.
Now here's what's interesting. Let's be real. So that's his daughter's house. You know, white supremacist. I'm gonna go to my friend's party. No, you killed somebody. Listen, in this small town, they know about the other person that committed suicide up in the house. How many people, you know how we are? Oh no, they might be haunted. Somebody else who sat there committed suicide in that house. I ain't going in. I'm not going in. And I'm not trying to say that this young man needed to die. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you got to think it is you against the world, because we on something else now. It is you against the world.
To me, it sounds like white validation, which is something I think is very normal for our young Black children to struggle with. And I find it hard to believe his intuition wasn't telling him something. You know what I'm saying? But just to need to fit in and be a go along, get along type of Negro, you know, kind of, and to put him there. Because, I feel like, are they the only Black people in that town? Because it seems like all the other N-words knew not to mess with them. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Was they the only Black family there? Because you know what I'm saying? It seems like, I just want to be rubbing elbows amongst them, and I want to get a pat on the head type of mentality. Because when you're putting all this cake, you just got your arm dead. You know, the man has a history. You know what I'm saying? And like with that one episode we were talking about, you know, ignoring racist comments. You know what I'm saying, from a stranger. This is the type of situation as to why you don't ignore that. Because, he was compromised, he was weak, he was by himself, and he trusted, like, oh, let's come to this party. Like, no, you said some crazy stuff to me 6 months ago. Like, I'm messing with you.
And you know what? I'm glad that you did bring that up. And you're right, we did talk about it. We always do. But here's something interesting. You have some people that be like, oh, that wasn't racist. Maybe you just over the top. Because, you know, you got that whole over the top Black power, like, everything that's racist, that's racist, that's racist. I'm a firm believer of this. If you have to question a comment that you feel as though, I like your shirt, legalize being black. Okay.
That's why I put this shirt on. Because I have something else on that you can see. But after, like I said, after this story, and it seems like it's illegal to be black still.
Now let me finish this point. If you feel as though that somebody, or you have to question, was that a racist comment? It was. It was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
there's great advice for young people.
Mm-hmm. It was. If you think it, if you hear something and you think it was, it was. And that is the time to speak on it. That's the time to speak on it. And, you know, I'll talk to my homegirl, love her to pieces. She'll say something, I'll be like, that's racist. She'll say, is it? I was like, don't do that nowhere else. I'll be telling her, she'll bust out laughing. I'm like, don't. And I know her, and I know her heart. And something will come off, and I was like, yeah, that's racist. And she doesn't mean any harm. But the problem is, you go say that to somebody else, the outcome is going to be very different than it is with me. But it is my duty as your friend to let you know that is. But with white privilege, you don't realize it. Because clearly, you say it a lot. Or that's a conversation. Go ahead.
As far as Nick's shirt, as far as legalizing being black, I don't think it's illegal to be black. I think it's Black people are human beings. I feel like this particular case is an example of how systemically and a lot of people in positions of power see Black people as subhuman, as not deserving of the same consideration, the same care, and the same level of concern as a white victim. It's like, oh, you died, too bad. You know, like, it's just like, oh, my dog died or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
our neck.
Right. It's like, it's very, it says to me, like, Black people are not human beings. We are less than. We're second-class citizens.
And that's what is trying to be portrayed to let you know, because you have a lot of successful black people, and there are some that are threatened by that. So it's like, oh, well, let's start it off young. You'll hear me say over and over. I'm like, no. They're like, oh, we need to get this person some mental health treatment. The adults, this is what we need to do. We need to start them young. Just as those people who are racist, and prejudice, whichever term you choose to use, they're starting young, just like that daycare. They're like, oh, let's get the young ones. Let's ruin them young because they understand. No, get your child treatment young. These people that's 18 and 19, 30 and 50, I'm not saying it's too late for them, but go ahead and do what you need to do with that person. And this is what happens, the consequences. Let's start with the youth and let them know, build them up. And let's be real, their first love is who? Their mom. Their first vision of love is their parents. So, and then you become an adult, then you got i.e. R. Kelly that's talking about, his childhood issue, or blaming someone else instead of taking responsibility and being held accountable for, well, now he's being held accountable for the role that he played in it. Let's start young. So, and we need to take that stigma of mental health treatment is an issue. No, we're not doing like we used to do. Remember, you had your MR family member in the back room. You know what I mean? Let's go with Uncle Pete up in the room. You know what I mean? With soul food, something you could relate to. Or if somebody had a mental disability, they was in the room in the basement and never brought out around the family. Come on. We have to help each other and say, it's okay to be you. These are the cards that's dealt. Let's play this hand and let this hand be colorful. Let's have a good time while we do it. And you introduce people to different things. Exposure is everything. So we have to stop just like, oh, okay, well, I don't want mine to be this way, so I'm not going to teach them that. I got it. You don't have to browbeat them into it, but at least give them the exposure to say, okay, this is this. Martin Luther King Day, that come around. I'll never forget, I had my son. I'm like, okay, Martin Luther King Day, this is what we going to do. We going to read. We going to do what we do. Let me teach you about Martin Luther King. Well, he was a little young. He was was he in the kindergarten? First grade. One of them. Girl, listen, you know what he got out of that lesson? He told the white kids, y'all got to use that water fountain.
Ooh.
I said, what? So the teacher called me. She was like, yeah, he wouldn't let anybody use his water fountain. I was like, okay, I got to go another direction. But he was introduced to it. I was like, let me teach you about Martin Luther King. That's what he got. He got the segregation part of that. And I was like, okay, let's talk a little more. Let me do this way. You know what I mean? And I had to find another avenue to teach. And it was like, now we don't have to do this anymore. He thought it was a grand idea. He's like, oh, I got my own, he had his own water fountain because it was just him. I was like, you know what I mean?
Like, no, we got to rewrite.
Epic fail,
It might have worked if you were like, this is your water fountain, but made it all like dirty and raggedy and stuff, and then made the other water fountain real nice, and then it would have kind of clicked.
Well, but here's the thing: I didn't do any of that. I was teaching about it. We watched the movie. That's what he grasped from the movie. The whites, the black. That's what he grasped from the movie. And when he went to school, his was gonna be clean and shiny. He didn't have to worry about no germs or nothing because he was the only black one in there. So he was like, "This mine, y'all gotta use that one up there," And I was like, "Ooh, okay, let's do this." So that was an epic fail. However, but introduction is everything, and then it was a teachable moment. It was a teachable moment, and thank God for the teacher. Yeah, I think it was kindergarten. No, that teacher was something. Wasn't kindergarten. But I'm glad that she spoke about it. I was like, okay, now we have to talk. But you got to talk about these things. You have to have these conversations at home. And for that young man, Durante Martin, I just feel so bad. And I'm like, at some point, like me as a parent, and we're not her. But I'd be like, you don't see that? Come here, boy. You see that flag? This is what this flag means. You don't need to be going nowhere near that house. If those your friends, okay, you'll see them in school on Monday. You know what I'm saying? You'll see them online if they're not in school. But no, we're not doing that. And you had surgery, so your immune system needs to be up. You go lay down. Go do something. But don't go out this house. Because I need to watch you.
And then also this whole situation with like a young black person being friends with some young white people and then getting caught up in a situation with some older white people. That's not a new story.
It's not.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not.
So again, I'm like, were y'all missing something? Like, it's nothing new in this country's history.
It is. And see, here's the thing. That young lady that called when Courtney was young on the answer machine, I had no idea. You couldn't have told me in a million years that it was a race thing, that they were racist. Because I knew them. I knew them all. And, you know, the little girl, I didn't see anything at all. But when that little girl said that, I was like, wow. So that was different. You know what I mean? It was very different. But it was real. And it was reality. And it was like, this is my time. Let's talk about it. And Courtney had no idea. She's like, huh? She's like, now why? She had no idea. And it's like different people are different. So, of course, she wasn't ever allowed over there, but I am that parent, and I was that parent. No, you know, won't be no spending the night nowhere, because you don't know what other people got going on in their house. I know what I have going on in mine, and if you want to take your chance with your child here, fine. But no, they won't be going over there.
And I feel like if you're trying to, as a parent, and I'm like super helicoptery, mom, like, you could be like, well, you're going to have a chaperone, or I'm going to have to come with you. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't go over there, but especially because I don't have siblings. Definitely times where it's like, well, you can't go if your sister won't go. Too bad. Or all four of y'all got to go. Well, you got to go with your siblings and your cousins down the street. Y'all got to go as a gang if you want to go. You know, you try to give them some freedom, you know what I'm saying? Like, autonomy, but also, like, we're going to use our brains here, too.
Right. So you got somebody else to be like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
Are we going in here? We shouldn't go. You going? Oh, now this clown want to go. You know, we might have to fight. You know, like,
exactly.
But you have
like, you over there by yourself?
Yeah. See, so you know, you have that decision as a collective group. It's like, okay, we discussed this. So you know, and what if? Because you always got that one person in the group to be like, well, what if? And they be like, okay, this is Plan B. Something happened, because ours is like that too, because if like something happened, meet me at the car. If this happens, don't go looking for, everybody meet here. This is the meeting point. You know what I mean? If something jump off. And that's what you do. Now let's hurry up and catch this real quick. The young lady who brought her cup to the restaurant because she carries her cups now. Because she went to a restaurant. Remember, I talked about that dog at Red Lobster, remember? This lady, she decides to carry her cup. She saw a dog drinking out of a cup.
Oh.
At a restaurant.
A restaurant cup?
So she brings her own. And remember, I was saying, I was like, you know, I understand the whole support thing, but maybe you should like sit outside on your patio with your dog, because what about the other people? And what's happening when that whole article came out with her and carrying her stuff, I said, she got all her utensils with her. And what's going to end up happening is these restaurants and all these other businesses are going to decline, because people like us who like, will not go. It's like, no, I'm not going. If this is what you're doing. Remember the lady with the dog, and I'm sneezing. I was like, is that a dog in here? You know what I mean? And then the one, well, I left out of that one when I seen that big dog coming in here and shook. I was like, you have people who have allergies. I came to come to dinner and they was like, oh, that's her support dog. Okay, I'm cool, because I don't want dog fur in my dish. Or they're going to be given away. They're going to decline and decrease. Their money is going to decrease because people are going to be like, I got dog hair in here and I don't have a dog.
Right. Well, and I think about it, again, to be devil's advocate. Those people that kiss their dogs in the mouth and stuff, and then they drink out of the cup, it's the same thing, though.
I'm not doing that.
Right, I mean, but you know what I'm saying? Because it's a public restaurant, and so you don't know what people's mouths been at, what kind of diseases they got up in there, and they drink off the cup. So I can.
Do you drink off the cup?
Huh?
At a restaurant, you drink off the cup at a restaurant?
Instead of the straw?
Uh-huh.
instead of using a straw. It depends.
Okay,
It
see.
depends on, because some nicer places, like, they won't, you can request a straw, but they're not going to automatically give you a straw.
You know I request
think-
a straw. I request a straw at the house.
Yeah.
I always ask for straws. Yeah, can I have a straw, please? Where's my
Right.
straw?
And so it's actually better for your teeth also. So you
Mhm.
guys know that. But so I can understand that, but as far as her carrying her utensils, I mean, yeah, I think that's perfectly reasonable. If she's not comfortable,
Carrying a whole bag of stuff. Oh my gosh.
that seems like a lot of work.
It
though.
is a lot of work. That's why, I carry my utensils, but I can throw it in my purse.
I mean,
But that's a lot of work.
unless
That's
you're like immunocompromised or something like that, I think that's nasty. I'm trying to think, as a restaurant establishment, what is the correct way to handle that to be, cause least amount of insult and offense to all parties? Like, what is the solution that will keep everyone happy?
Hopefully the way they wash their dishes.
Right.
And that would be it. It's supposed to be at a certain temperature, but the way the economy is, you don't know where the corners are being cut at. And then how often have you gotten a fork or a spoon and something was on it still?
Right.
Where you'd be like, can you give me some hot water in the cup, please?
Mhm.
I got to wash my own
You do that.
dishes. Like,
Yep.
when you don't. So, and you'd be like, what? This is lasagna. Like, I didn't order lasagna. I ordered, chicken Alfredo. And why is this red sauce on here? You got to look at that same thing with the cups, and you got people, you're right. You got people who put like snot rags, they blow their nose and throw it in a cup when they done. So you have to take all that into consideration. But I will tell you with straws, drinking out of straws, they give you a lot of gas now.
Oh, very true. Very
So-
true. That is also true.
So when is the right time to pass gas in front of your significant other?
It depends. Depends on y'all's relationship, your comfort level, their comfort level. Some people find it incredibly offensive and insulting and disrespectful. Some people are just like, oh, it's part of your body and it happens. So,
That's funny because I tried not to. It was some years in before I started, but still, when I first started dating, I'd have to go to the bathroom. I would wait till I would go home to my house or like creep and be like, oh Lord, I gotta go to this person's bathroom and creep while they make sure they sleep snoring and creep in the bathroom. One day I got busted.
The bathroom got great acoustics. Did it?
exactly, it's a horrible place. You step into the other room, but then there's another person in the other room.
No,
And
I'm
they're
talking
walking
about
behind
I
you,
wait
like, why'd
until
you
like
come in here?
early.
Hey, I'm handling my business.
Like when this person is asleep, to go into the bathroom because I would have to be always the wrong time. You got to go number 2. One day I got busted, snuck in the bathroom. Like, oh, they sleep good. Let me go in there. Everybody in the house sleep. It was just as quiet because when you're trying to be quiet is when your stomach loud and just splatter everywhere. Trying to be quiet, and I'm just like, oh Lord, it's killing me. I go back in the room. They was like, why you hiding?
But you know what?
Why you hiding? You gotta go. You gotta go. I was like, oh, damn.
Well, you can turn the faucet on and have the running water, and that'll kind of like muffle the sound a little bit. That's another trick I learned.
Does
They
it?
still gonna know.
That's still here. But if you fart, listen, I'll never forget this one dude. It was so freaking funny. This one dude went out the room, went into another room inside like the pantry, shut the door, and I heard, "Roar, roar, roar, roar." It was so funny. I laughed so hard. And I couldn't figure out, like, why you turn the TV up for this movie? Oh, okay. Well, you walking out. Maybe you want to hear it in another room. I guess trying to drown the sound out or something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's loud in the mug, man. I was like, you all right? that's.
Do you need medical assistance?
Oh man, I was like, oh, it's a fight. Like, you all right? Like, what
It
is
is
that?
a fight between your stomach and your.
Woo! It was something. It was something.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that was the funniest thing ever. We still laugh about that. It was the funniest thing ever. It was like, yeah, you might as well go ahead and let that out. But it's so interesting because it's like you can have sex with somebody before you feel comfortable farting in front of somebody.
Yeah, that's
That
true.
makes no sense.
It doesn't to me. That's what,
You
right.
can't catch an STD off a fart now.
Right.
It, like I said, it was years before I with any of my husbands fart around that.
Not me. Now I'll give somebody a fair warning. Like, my stomach is upset. I don't feel good.
Say you don't feel good. That's the warning. That's the warning. Like, I don't feel good.
Warning,
to let them know. Okay, yeah. I don't feel good. I ain't gonna come over. Oh, just come over. Then you be like, you got some spray? Be like, I'm gonna need a whole kit. I'm gonna need the water bottles. This is about to get wild up in here. Like, hot mess. Any other topics that I missed or anything?
Ma'am,
The shooting. The car
with that young black lady.
Huh?
The road rage
The
story.
road rage shooting.
The road rage. That was crazy. Go ahead, Amber.
Black lady, I think she's 24. She was traveling at like 2:30, 3 o'clock p.m. To another city for something or whatever. And so she was getting onto the highway, and there was another vehicle that wouldn't let her on. And so she accelerated and got in front of him to get onto the highway. So this enraged the driver that she cut off. And so he pulled up next to her and started, screaming some profanities at her. Then she screamed some profanities back at him. And then he deaccelerates, gets behind her, and then shoots 6 bullets into her vehicle. She then pulled over, and then bystanders, witnesses called for EMT services.
That was crazy.
The shooter, this is the juicy part, the shooter wasn't charged. He claimed self-defense. He claimed he was in fear of his life. And so the police, whoever is over this case, said, okay, and let him leave.
How are you in fear for your life when you behind somebody?
And you got the gun.
Right, and then the other
she had a gun.
She had a gun also. She has a conceal. And the article. I mean, this is a side note, but the article you sent me, I'm just like, quoting people with their bad English. That was the first thing I noticed. It triggered me. But anyways, yeah, she also had a concealed carry permit. She had her weapon on her, but she said that it was never engaged, and it was never even taken off safety. It was never pulled out, and that's something they can run ballistics on to see if there was a discharge from her weapon. But it's like they didn't even investigate nothing. And she went to the hospital in critical condition from this incident.
That's crazy. And they let the guy go. Like,
oh, you was afraid? Okay. Cool. Bye.
Have a good day. See, that's crazy.
Very crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand any.
And I hope she sues them into the ground too.
That city too. Sue that city.
Yeah, sue them into the ground.
Sue the person.
I just saw an article. They said some little city somewhere, the whole police department resigned.
It's in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
The whole police department resigned. Now why?
Yeah. Right.
Because it sounded like the chief off the chain then.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was just crazy. I couldn't. It was Park Forest, Illinois.
Mm.
So one of the suburbs around Chicago or something like that. Maybe. Yeah. She was on her way to Chicago to hang out, so it was one of the outer suburbs of Chicago.
Interesting.
I told you they want to make it like the Wild Wild. Don't that sound like the Wild Wild West? Instead of carriages and horses, it's cars now, just shooting at each other.
Well, they do that down here. Road rage is really bad down here, and they will shoot you. Blow the horn at somebody. If they cut you off, you blow the horn, they turn around, they shooting you.
Right.
Isn't that something?
It's really a bad case down here, like that.
And it's like it's what it sounds like. It's the Wild Wild West. Just everybody's just lawless, do whatever they want to do. Everything's okay.
Right. It's funny because when I first moved down here, my sister-in-law was like, "Let me tell you, because they got road rage down here. You calm down, because we know how you are, and these people will pull a gun and shoot you, and this because we know you gonna cut somebody out." And I was just like, "Okay."
It's a mess.
It's horrible. The driving down here is horrible. It's bad.
Interesting. All right, lovely people. That is our time. I love you guys for coming on. That is it. That was a good topic. Topics, plural. Current events. Keep it 100. I wanted to know what your thoughts were on it. So I definitely want to give it up to our lovely co-host today. I said I'm going to have some music. Have some straight up music for you. So y'all can go out like an encore. You know, take your bow. You know what I'm saying? Like, that'd be off the hook, wouldn't it? We're like, I'm going to get it together. I promise I will. Anything crazy happen? Like the nerve. That was it. The nerve. Anything nutty happen this week? Besides neighbors pulling in your driveway because they don't want to walk around?
My neighbor called the fire department on me because I had a fire in my fire pit. Yeah. They pulled up with a big old fire truck, lights flashing, everything. It was just to be petty.
Oh, what?
Exactly. It was a fire pit.
Okay, here we go. The nerve. Anything with you, Nick? Anything with you happen? Nothing crazy. Ain't nobody, no neighbor did nothing weird.
No, not this week.
I heard that. You said not this week. Good stuff. So Amber got it. You got the nerve award. Look, you got the nerve award. Fire in your fire pit. We call it. Is that the same neighbor?
Yes, ma'am.
That the company pulled in the garage? Wait, that's the same neighbor that the neighbor pulled into your driveway to go to their house? That's the same people?
Well, no.
Okay.
No, this is a different neighbor, but it's the same neighbor I have problems with.
Oh, okay. You still had that. Neighborhood wars. All right, lovely people. That is my time. I thoroughly enjoyed you as I do each and every single Saturday. I want you lovely people to give it up to the one and only that we already know. The social analyst, Miss Amber D. And then we have Nick, the voice of the community, always keeping it 100, saying what's going on, and she keeps it 100. And what is on her mind? Y'all give it up for Nick, the voice. All right, that's Nick the voice, lovely people. All right, I want to give you guys today's footnote. Today's footnote is, the wounds given by a sword can be healed, but nothing can heal a wound given by words. So watch what you say, lovely people. Words do hurt. Hey, I love you guys for listening. Make sure you like us on all social media, outlets. Follow us on your favorite podcast. Make sure you like us on YouTube as well, okay? Find you, embrace you, most importantly, always, always love you. And until next week, people, you know what it is. Shop Talk every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon.